So let's rock and roll, bro. This is a quick testimonial. It's for Remote Contractor Solutions. Basically, share your experience. I know you've worked with us a couple times already. Well, I would like to know both experiences, right? Because sometimes some people make it seem like, testimonials are good or like it's always the highlights, but no, you were a customer in the beginning, it didn't work out, then you came back, and now it looks like it's working out, and you even went to the next level that we want to be at with Remote Contractor, where it's buying out the virtual assistant so that, in the future, if you want another one, it's like your monthly expenses are not being high because of a middleman.
Yeah, I think the first time it was kind of me not having like direction of what I actually was gonna need, or not even knowing what it was that I needed. It was difficult. I feel like having a VA is actually hard
Right.
because you have to have some type of like system in place or something for them to do, because otherwise then you overthink it and like, oh well, if they're not doing nothing, then I'll just save my money. That's kind of how it was like the first time. The second time it was definitely more functional because we went like exactly for like we're doing this, like I'm doing social media and some data entry. So I could still see today if people don't know like even what data that they should be looking at, that might be difficult. But just on the social media side, then I think that's one of the biggest benefits right there.
Nice. So the first one I remember was just a general data entry VA, but now you have a social media dedicated one. Do you feel that the positions were the biggest difference? Because I know you have real assistants in the US. So
I have one, but I'll
employees.
be honest. Yes, we work out of here. I have someone who a qualifier who takes all the phone calls and is like the front line of the business. And I had them do some data entry, but I've actually taken a lot of that off their plate and assigned it to the VA. So my VA right now is doing a lot of the data entry that's kind of like boring, kind of day to day. They can produce more income by focusing on what they need to focus on. So I was able to take some things off of their plate, like of the like some data entry, and now add back onto their plate like Google follow-ups, final calls, asking for reviews, and just focusing on the incoming customer. So
Dope.
took some off of their plate and added other things, and I was able to take away like the boring stuff and give that to the VA.
With the process now, what do you feel was one of the things that kind of helped you on the transitioning to this one?
Yeah, so for social media, the best thing is like me, I'm a perfectionist and I manage my own social media account, right? And I also think I'm the best marketer that ever lived, and that's how my business got here, right? So we all have these ego things, but because of the ego, it wouldn't allow me to post on a daily basis
Okay.
because I'm like, nah, this content is not good enough, or no, I don't want to post this. I don't like how I look. So now outsourcing it, someone else puts their eyes on it, and sometimes I look at my own post and I'm like, man, I wouldn't post that. But it's not about me, it's about the business. And overall, what I've seen over time, which is the biggest benefit for me, is one, I don't have to waste my critical thinking on does this look good or not. Right? I can just tell them, hey, I kind of want it to go like this. They use their creativity, they use their critical thinking, and I give the final okay to the post. It saved me a lot of brain power. And the other thing is now when I look at my page, it's scrollable. I might not like an individual post in the moment. So if I was doing it, I would have never posted it because I'm like, I don't like it. But now, when you look at the multitude of posts all together, it makes the page engaging, fun, and I like it. Overall, I like the overall mix.
Mhm.
Instead of looking at a one post, it's about the whole page and giving people something to do, right? People want to learn, so it gives them another thing to do. Just scroll and look, and so that was the biggest benefit. Was one, I save all my critical thinking power, but and not wasting it on something like social media. And two, I'm getting way more posts that I would have ever posted, right? And three, I get the whole package where now when people look at my profile, it's not thin with the perfect post. It's just flooded, and they can take 10 minutes and scroll up and down, up and down.
It's funny. You make me think of the in the beginning for me, I was the bottleneck as well, and I just So I've had a VA for like 8 years, 9 years already. Before Julie, who does our social media now, it was Joe Fell, which I think you remember meeting her. But she was super generic, right? It was just, hey, I need you to post. I don't care what it is, before and afters, like static images. I just need a post because you're absolutely right. If it's held onto the business owner, especially like myself, like I'm in it, I'm involved, I'm picking up phone calls, making the deals happen, like that extra time that it takes for us to use our critical thinking. Then we have to be creative, and then we have to be a perfectionist. Then I gotta do this, that. It takes so much time, and then
Overall, then we're never gonna post it because we're not gonna
you're not
like
gonna
it.
post it. Or or
Exactly.
or it was even worse. I would create all this content, and then I wouldn't have the time to schedule the content to get posted. So I took that
Exactly.
out, and then what I did want to kind of highlight was social media really, for me at least, I know for me, it's not the main source of leads. So I don't know if it's the same for you, but
Not anymore. Not anymore. Google has.
I know when you called me and said, hey, I need a VA for editing and social media management, your number one thing that you were saying was, hey, I want to do it for my customer. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Because I think it's
Yeah.
an important thing for people to think, even if you think you don't need it, it's not for
So
you.
a ton of business from social media, and you know we run winning ads. So that means I take my ads, I look what done the best, and I still run the same ad that's 3 years old. Right? It still wins for me. And a lot of times you see people and they go, "Oh, I see your ad," right? And it that's okay, but for me, it's like, man, I know that they're seeing the same thing. The benefit of having like the social media helper, or assistant is now I know if people get driven to my page, they have more content that they're able to do.
Yeah.
Um, and just have more fun looking through the page. It's really, when you think about the customer, you want them to work with someone and they want to work with someone that they like. You can have a winning ad and you can keep winning business, but you want new stuff for people. You want them not just to see the same thing. I wanted to give the people better content overall. I wanted to bring them something where they could scroll and look and maybe laugh.
It's like, just in general, like when we go to Walmart or Target, a lot of like, you go through the aisles that you're necessarily not gonna need to buy things, but because it's engaging, things are happening. Like, oh, I might get like today. I ended up grabbing. I just came back. Look at this. I just bought this because I just went through an aisle. This is for the travel bag. It's a belt to identify.
Mm.
But what I'm
Okay.
saying is, it's the same thing on social media. Like, they already requested, they already raised their hand saying, "Hey, I want your services," but I want to see how you do it, or how
Or
is it
maybe
working
no,
with
or
you?
maybe they already bought from you and
Mm,
they want to continue to support you. But if you don't have new engaging content and all they're seeing is your same ad running over, this is my in my experience, they just see my same ad over and over. And at least now I can say, when people say, instead of now they say, "Oh, I saw your ad," they now say, "Oh, I saw your social media." So even their language is changing
they
because
go.
they get driven to the social media, or maybe they look at the ad, so organically it's gonna show them my new updated content. So it's cool, and now I can actually feel better when people say, "Oh, I saw your ad." I'm like, "Oh, well, make sure you go into the page and follow us," and because you can see a lot more stuff than just that.
All right. Listen, to wrap it up, I really appreciate the feedback. What would you say to somebody who hasn't ever used a VA? How would they, have this experience that you had with us, like the onboarding and all that?
Gotcha. So I'll tell you right now. So me being a perfectionist, I thought it was like super important for me to interview all these people and me use my gut instincts and all this and that. But long story short, I tried that. It didn't work out. I ended up doing who you guys recommended in the first place. So basically, long story short is, for if there's another person who's out there who's like a perfectionist, and just really trust the system. If you don't even know what you can do with the VA, just use Remote Contractor and just say, "Hey guys, what tools do you have that can help my bit?" Maybe, have Remote Contractor evaluate your business, see where you can use the VAs, and then have them implement it. Instead, like, our brain is, so we only have so much capacity. And although we want to do everything, and although, there's probably people out there like me who don't trust anybody, who, even if a doctor gives me an opinion, I'm going to check with another doctor. So that's just how I am. But in this case, I would say, like, no, you guys know what you're doing. Let them evaluate your business, see where the areas that you can add on, and and just have remote contractor. The benefit of this is, listen, I could go get a VA from Upwork. I could go anywhere. I could go to Fiverr and try to poach a VA. There's so many things that you could do, and and even we get bombarded with VA ads, right? Once you start thinking about it, you see all these things,
We'll be
$4
talking about
an
it.
hour, whatever it is. However, it's not just about the VA. It's about having people behind there who are going to try to fit the VA to your needs. So what I would say to anyone out there is, look, give up a little bit of restraint. Just say, fine, look at my business, figure it out for me on my behalf, and see how it works out. I'm sure, that's what I ended up doing. I ended up, after trying to interview all these people, I just gave up the power. I said, you know what? Figure out who's gonna work for me. Figure out what it is I need, and they found the right person. So I think that's the biggest benefit of remote contractor. You guys are able to fit VAs to the need of the business, to ensure that not only are we happy, but that's how you get paid. So that's what I would recommend to everybody.
Appreciate the good work. We'll talk soon.
Dale, peace.